Tim Sweeney, rock collector, tree hugger, beanbag lover, and CEO of Epic Games, has just stepped into the ring with some fierce competitors, Apple and Google. On this episode of Headlines, we'll be looking at COVID-19 updates, the Belarus protests, a clash of tech companies, the cancellation of Patriot Act, Donald Trump's oil drilling plans, and a technological examination hiccup. Welcome to Headlines. First, COVID-19 updates. The number of cases in the US has passed 5 million, exceeding the number of McDoubles that President Trump has stashed away in a secret room in the White House. Brazil's death toll surpassed 100,000, and New Zealand investigated the possibility that its first ever infection after 102 days came by cargo. There have also been spikes in COVID-19 cases in Japan and South Korea. However, there might be some hope in a possible vaccine from Russia. Vladimir Putin revealed the name announced last week, Sputnik 5, alluding to the spacecraft the former USSR sent into orbit while the US was still racing to keep up in the 1960s. Once again, Vlad just has to remind the US how Russia is always one step ahead of them. The cities of Paris, France, and Brussels, Belgium now require everyone to wear masks outdoors, which is unfortunate for anyone who loves that baguette smell that wafts through the streets of Paris. Protests are exploding in Belarus, where an allegedly rigged presidential election took place last week. The Central Election Commission, or the CEC, in Belarus has said that Alexander Lukashenko, the sitting president, won 80.1% of the vote, and Svetlana Tikhanovskaya 10.12%. However, Tikhanovskaya has said that this wasn't a fair count and insists that she won support ranging from 60% to 70% of the population. But who is Svetlana Tikhanovskaya? She's the opposition leader of Belarus, who was forced to leave for Lithuania for her own safety before the election. Look, if you're trying to convince your people that the election that's about to happen is fair and square, and the worst way to do that is by neglecting your opposition's safety in their own country. Also, we feel like world leaders should stop giving Donald Trump ideas for the upcoming American elections. Protesters have taken to the streets because they are unhappy with the corrupt government that currently sits in Belarus, and people have reportedly been tortured in detention camps following arrest. Both the US and the United Nations have condemned the Belarusian government for their heinous actions. Now we have a tangle between some of the biggest tech companies out there. Epic Games, the video game developer behind the massive multiplayer hit Fortnite, is suing Apple and Google over the claim that both companies have way too much control over the digital marketplace and are dominating the marketplace with their app stores. Here's what happened, and pay attention because this is some pretty intense stuff. Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store are both hubs for anybody looking to buy a new game. However, when any transaction is made, whether it's for buying that game or buying something within that game, gamers have to pay money to the App Store or the Play Store. Both the stores keep around 30% of the money that's paid, and the rest goes to the game developer. Epic Games wasn't happy with this, and so they created an in-game marketplace within Fortnite so all purchase revenue would go straight to them. This was in direct violation of Apple and Google's app policy. Both companies found out about this and removed Fortnite from their stores, which was what led to Epic Games suing both companies for stopping small developers from making a profit. Now, calling Epic Games a small company is like saying COVID is just the flu. It's a gross understatement. Epic Games is worth more than $10 billion, making them a Fortune 500 company. Apple and Google's defense is that they've spent years developing and curating their stores for consumer accessibility, so they deserve a share of the pie. But at the end of the day, Epic Games' intimidating Dark Voyager is finally squaring up with some worthy competition. The Bug Droid. Now that I think of it, maybe it isn't that fair. Hasan Minhaj, the reinventor of political comedy, has had his award-winning talk show, Patriot Act, cancelled by Netflix. Patriot Act began in 2018 and ran for 6 cycles before Minhaj broke the devastating news on his Twitter and Instagram accounts on Tuesday. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Netflix will reverse its decision. Netflix pulls shows based on a viewer cost formula, and most talk shows have struggled because of this. In this sense, Patriot Act was arguably the most successful talk show on Netflix. A lot of people are upset with Netflix's decision to pull Patriot Act. Never Have I Ever star Maitri Ramakrishnan has said that her eyes were a little sweaty after the announcement. I'm looking forward to seeing Hassan get back at Netflix the same way he got back at Crown Prince MBS. That was a great episode. And now, some quick updates to end our show for this week. Donald Trump may be making a push to open up the Arctic Alaska region to oil drilling, overturning 6 decades of protection for the largest remaining stretch of wildlife in the US. This decision could have potentially disastrous consequences on the environment, and heated debate between environmental lobbyists and oil industry leaders is expected. Finally, a teenager from England named Jessica Johnson made headlines after her exam results, marked through technology, were downgraded. The funny part is, she wrote an article about biased online examination techniques quite recently. And to top it off, after a manual review, her results went up. Technology possessing biases and thinking for itself. Now, we're just one step closer to Terminator. I wonder what else 2020 has in store for us. On that note, those are your headlines for this week. I'll see you next time on Headlines.